I'm here with Nevan Scott. Hi, Nevan. And I
Hi.
wanted to get in touch with you because we're going to have soon a workshop on design systems. So
That's right.
I wanted to kind of ask you, tell me a little bit about your background. What do you do? How do you get to this field?
So these days, I'm primarily a design teacher, but I started out as really like a web developer slash designer about 20 years ago, which means that I kind of developed in both fields together as they sort of grew and matured. And I love that stuff, but then I love teaching. So I love doing, workshops like this with people who are excited and interested about improving in their craft and upping their game, bringing more value to customers or to their organization. That's pretty much what I'm dedicated to these days.
And you've been teaching a lot, right? This is a part of your career. Can
Yes.
you tell me more?
Yeah. So now I'm running my own school with a partner, Button School. But before this, I was one of the early teachers at General Assembly in the US. And then I've been working at a boot camp here in Barcelona, where I'm based, called Ironhack, for about the past 10 years. So I've got the designer developer thing going for about 20 years, and then the teaching thing going for about 10 years. And I still love bringing all that together under one roof, working with new people.
Okay, and so tell me more about this workshop. What is this about? Why do we need to know about design systems in 2023, 24?
Okay, so I think design systems are quite a trendy topic, but they've also been a trendy topic for a number of years. So I imagine for many of the people who are thinking about doing a class like this, you may already have interacted with a design system or be working on a design system at work. I think it's still a very living and vital topic because, a lot of times when you think about a design system, as a designer, you kind of get stuck just on what are the components or what's the brand. And to me, there are a lot of things that are really important to think about in terms of mindset and approach to rolling out successful design systems within an organization, both in how you communicate about them, how you share in making decisions with other stakeholders, and grow a design system in an organic way. And then on the flip side, kind of the more technical side, how you approach the foundations of that design system, which I think have gotten a lot more sophisticated and aligned across the industry in the past, especially the past couple of years. And on that side, I think there's things like the way that we think about design tokens in particular, and these very tiny design decisions that actually can bubble up into a lot more complex and interesting things. Getting those really right can really reduce the overall complexity and increase the alignment within a design system. So that's part of what I've focused this one-day workshop on is how can we, even if we're already working with a design system, what are the current best ways of thinking about how to work with that and how to get the foundations of it really right, even if you already have something, maybe going in and fixing up those foundations a bit to make sure that it's really stable, working well, that people love using it, that kind of thing.
And who is the primary target? Who should come to this workshop?
So I have a couple of different people in mind that I think have taken a class like this with me before and would be great for the workshop. One are, I say early-ish to mid-stage career product designers, or UX designers who either have worked a little bit with a design system or are working with one on a regular basis. I think for those folks, this is a chance to really dive deep and develop a little more expertise and confidence in working with those things. And then the other profile that I've seen have a lot of success spending a little more time with this topic are people who are a little bit more toward the leadership side or even managing a team, who I think can really benefit from coming away with some strategies for how they can work with their teams better around design systems. It would be great if someone wanted to come who's actually managing a design system team, although I think that's probably too much expertise, you probably already know. what you're doing. But if you're managing a team of designers and you're like working with like a grassroots or an early stage or a middle stage development of a design system, and there's not yet a dedicated design systems team, or maybe you're thinking about moving in that direction, I think this is also a great fit for someone like that.
Okay, perhaps I want to dig a little bit more deeper in terms of the day of the workshop. What will we learn? What's the agenda? How do we structure this?
So the shape of the day is that I want us to start out in the morning, really getting a good set of like overview of what the goals are, like trying to understand, okay, what is the design system for? Why are we using it? What kinds of like mistakes or gaps might we look for in a design system that, we could go in and try to improve, right? So that's sort of the big picture part, is like making sure that we all share our sense of what does a good design system look like. And then we'll start diving in pretty quickly. And the class is meant to be pretty hands-on and nuts and bolts. So we'll be using Figma. That's the tool of choice for the class. And we'll work through a series of exercises to apply some ideas as we're learning them about like how to organize, how to name, how to structure, from like the smallest pieces up to a little bit more complex pieces, in that one day. But that would be the structure, right? Is that in the morning, we'll start out with some introductory material, not necessarily just introductory about design systems, but aligning around what those big picture goals are. I'd love in that moment to also hear from the people who are attending the workshop about what's going on in their organizations. And then we'll start like really getting our hands dirty. So we'll dig into things like design tokens, which are these like little details. And when we come back from lunch, we'll start to take those design tokens that we've been working with to start to build out and structure more interesting components out of them in more sophisticated ways, thinking about things like reusability and flexibility with those. And then we'll end the day, most likely, if there's time, looking at kind of a discussion about, okay, what can we do to improve how these things that we're making in our design kits better documented, better communicated about, better governed, so that other people can, use them as resources and really tie into them well.
I think a lot of people are struggling with their own design systems and pitfalls. And can you tell me what are the main things that you see when people are dealing with design systems, and how can we perhaps look at it differently?
To me, sometimes what it is just our expectations of what we're expecting to get out of that system. I hear a lot of people I've seen a lot of people get frustrated over like, oh, I made all of these different components, but like no one is using them. Why isn't anybody using them? And, as UX designers, of course, we should be able to think differently than that, right? If we make something that people aren't using, that's on us, not on the people who are supposed to be using it, even if those other people are our design colleagues or are the engineering team or the product managers. So it's a slower thing to build out a design system in a way that sort of respects it as a product and respects everyone else who's interacting with it as users of that product, and keeps in mind how and when and what purposes they'll put the different pieces of a design that are made available through a design system to, and figure out what their needs actually are, right? Like, I think it's, generally speaking, and we've seen this like in tons and tons of case studies at this point, and I've seen it myself, right? Expect to just airdrop onto a team and mandate that they make use of it and see the benefits from it, right? What a design system really provides us with is an aligned, shared way of making decisions. And if your organization has a hard time aligning and making shared decisions, no amount of documentation is going to solve that problem on its own, right? Like you can make all the documentation you want, and if no one reads it, no one listens to it, no one follows it, and there's like pre-existing challenges, well, you have a very different problem. So I think that a design system can act as a really nice rallying point and even a catalyst around having some pretty hard conversations about like, okay, where are we misaligned? Where are the ways that we're working causing us like to slow down or to not consider innovative ideas, or to like pass the buck and like blame, you know, what X, Y, or Z department for something that is going wrong. Having something like a design system that can touch on so many different parts of the organization, sometimes it's, I think, hard to accept that just the fact that it's acting as a forcing function to have those conversations is already a value that it provides, right? If it throws into sharp relief fissures that are already in place and kind of forces that conversation, that's actually a good thing, you know, because it means that there was a problem that wasn't being addressed before.